Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The rise of knowledge in the third line of the sixth verse. And when you say rise of knowledge, it's almost like, it wasn't there before, now it is rising. It's not like that. It's like that's why it is a present continuous. The rising knowledge, and the rising knowledge is not happening in the person is rising knowledge. That's why we have a specific and a rare usage of the third case, sad udita taya, in the form of the rising knowledge. It's called itham bhute tritiya. I had to just point that out. Yesterday also I talked about it, but it bears emphasis. And so it's because otherwise one thinks that we are talking about the knowledge. But when we talk about this knowledge, we talk about the person as the knowledge, because there is no separation between the knowledge and the person. So the person is the rising knowledge. It's not that the knowledge is rising within the person. The person is in the form of the rising knowledge, blessing the whole universe regardless of what they do, what they don't do. It doesn't matter. They are a source of blessing. Like even the sun, after a long dark night, sometimes an interminable night, you see the sun and people are happy. One goes to bed with, difficulties, and then what happens? One wakes up and sees the sun, and somehow the difficulties, kind of go away on their own. And all the things that the night represents, it represents all kinds of perhaps robbers that steal, it represents things that bite, and night, if it is ajnanam, the robbers and the bugs and the snakes, serpents, etc., anything that you encounter in the dark, means taking oneself to wrongly. That's why things bite, because there is ajnanam, and the ajnanam turns into anyatha jnanam. This is what happens. And so therefore, the person of knowledge here is like a shining, light of Atma in the form of a pleasant sunrise. And that is also a nice nod to the, what is that? It's a nice nod to the sannyasa, because the orange clothes represents the sunrise. Seventh verse. Karya karye kimapi satatam naiva kartritvam asti jivan mukta sthitiravagataha dagdhavastravabhasaha evam dehe pravilayagate tishthamano viyuktaha. Together. Nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedhah. So, karya and akarya. Karya, karye. So, karya, that which is to be done. And now we know the meaning of akarya already. Akarya means what? Hello, wake up. Karya to be done. Akarya? Abba. Yeah. Finally. Akarya, that which is not to be done. So karya, karye, with reference to that which is to be done and with reference to that which is not to be done, So what happens, Kimapi satatam, or satatam, always, kimapi kartritvam na asti, na eva asti. So, with regard to what is to be done and what is not to be done, regardless of whether the jnanis are doing something or they are not doing something, there is no sense of doership. I'm just translating, this is a long discussion. And naiva kartritvam asti. Kartritvam. What has to be understood. So therefore, it is devoid of doership. In the Brahma Sutra, in one of the later sutras, towards the end, the jnani is described. What is the jnani? The jnani is described, as childlike. And of course, all the people who are arguing against this, the Purva Pakshis, say, oh, so now we have to get diapers for the jnani, and now the jnani will have no control, what he does, what she does, nothing, what she doesn't do, everything. And they make fun of this sutra, the people who are objectors. This is a kind of a way in which we assimilate this. And then the Siddhanta, the response to this is that no, we are not talking childish. What are we talking? Childlike. There's a very big difference. So when you say childish, then it's a different thing. It talks about, maybe stubbornness, aviveka, not understanding and having no control over bodily movements. But childlike means you have the mindset of a child, which is always very positive, unless of course there is some kind of a inhibitive factor, of pain in early childhood. If that is not there, the child is unencumbered, enthusiastic, free from everything, free of prejudices, judgments, and ever hopeful, gives everyone a chance and does not keep grudges, for 3-4 lifetimes like that, as the adult does. This is what is meant by that, by that jnani's mindset being like that of a child. And the Brahma Sutra clarifies this further in the sense of a happy demeanor. A happy demeanor. And we could see this in the life of Pujya Swamiji so clearly, very, very clearly. People would bring him something, and so usually some gadget. He was a techno Swamiji in some ways. Bring him a gadget. And he doesn't know what it is, or he has heard about it. And he would just take it with so much joy, look at it in the back, look at it, oh, how does it function, learn about it, quickly master it, play with it. And then, it would, and if somebody wanted to take it from him, it would just be gone. And he would play with it only because you brought him that, to please you, in a way. But again, it was not a conscious thing, okay, I'm going to make this one happy. Just play with it. And then, and it's forgotten after, just like with a child, a toy, a new toy. Fantastic, let me just do something with it. And then after that, it's forgotten. It's not that, oh, this is now my favorite toy and I have to have it. No such thing. And so here in the 7th verse, this childlike demeanor is taken to a level of spontaneity to describe or to illustrate spontaneity in action. Suddenly the child will go and hug someone. It is not planned out. Okay, do they have a candy in their pocket? Let me go and hug them because this is what it is. Suddenly there's an outpouring of affection and the child hugs someone. Suddenly it sits, suddenly it talks. So there is that spontaneity of action here. And that spontaneity of action is devoid of both the intention behind the action, in Sanskrit known as sankalpa, and also the desire for karma phala, that after this, because I did this, I want to get something else. No such thing exists. So the action becomes devoid of what is called kartritva buddhi, doership. So what makes, this is a very illumining verse for what makes something, imbued with doership. Because doership is samsara, there is nothing else. Doership is samsara. And the action that has an intention behind it. And the intention is for karma phala. So that intention of getting something, looking good or wanting something, etc. is all behind it. And that intentionality, the action is devoid of, number one. And number two, there is no after effects of the action in the sense of elation, hurt, guilt. All these are not there. And neither is there some anticipation of the results of action. So it is an action that is devoid of intention and devoid of an expectation in the form of a result of action. And therefore it is devoid of doership. And we have seen this, so many stories are there to illustrate, karmani akarma yaf pashyet. And the most famous one is of, Lord Krishna. All these kinds of tricky situations are resolved by talking about stories of Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is sitting, playing the flute, on the banks of the Yamuna. All the gopis come, they have brought lots of his favorite dishes, and then chappan bhog, 56 varieties. And then he enjoys all of this. And then, of course, whichever gopi is offering him something to eat, he not only takes the food but catches hold of her hand, and, has a good time with all of them. And then suddenly, the Yamuna is in spate, is completely flooded, and the gopis don't know how to cross because they had just waded across, they don't know how to go. And then they pray to him, they say, please give us one mantra, that will make this okay. And the Yamuna should go down. And he says, go tell Mother Yamuna, if Krishna is a nitya brahmachari, meaning ever celibate, hasn't even looked or thought about women here, or men, or anything. These days we have to add all that, yeah. So, hasn't thought about anything, anybody in this particular way, let the waters part. And the gopis protest, why you just held my hand few minutes ago, and the other one says you just pulled my sari, and then you did this, you did that, you made eyes at me, and you did all these things, and then now you are saying that you are a nitya brahmachari, impossible. And he says, I have given the mantra, ladies. If you don't want to go home, you're welcome to spend the night with me. No problem. You can be here. No, we have to go home. Okay, try the mantra. No other possibility. So reluctantly they chant the mantra. And then what? The Yamuna parts. And they go to the other side. On the other bank, Rishi Sandipani is sitting. So they feed him as well. They give him food and all that. And Rishi Sandipani, I think, must have been a foodie because he finishes all the dabbas, everything khali, finished, empty. And then again the Yamuna is filling up on this side. And then they ask for a mantra, and he gives the same mantra. What is the mantra? If the Rishi has not eaten a single morsel, may the Yamuna part. And now they don't even argue with the mantra. They just say all these people are crazy, because what is this? This is total craziness. So they chant the mantra with great Shraddha this time, and the Yamuna parts. These are stories to illustrate this very thing, that no matter what the Jnani is doing, two things. One is there is no do-worship, and if there is no do-worship, the results of actions do not accrue to the Jnani. And it's not that Lord Krishna is telling lies, It's all, and yesterday somebody was asking about the question, as though. It is all as though. As though eating, as though, drinking. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Swapan, Shwasan, Pralapan, Visrijan, all these things. Eating, drinking, going, coming. Navadvare pure dehi. This I, the individual, as though abiding in a fortress of 9 portholes, like all these golakas, through which the world enters. Sukham aste, sits happily. Naiva kurvan nakarayan, without doing anything, without making someone else do anything. This is very, very beautiful, And so here too, the jnanis don't, this is not just the swarupa of the jnani. This is your swarupa that is waiting to be discovered. That is why we are studying the ЩУКΑШТАКAM. Otherwise, what's the point in looking at the swarupa of the jnani? It is for the jnani wannabe that this has to speak. And so, karmani, akarma. And then akarmani, karma. That even if you are sitting quietly, what happens? It is still an action. So the subtlety of action, even if you say, I'm not going to choose, it's a choice. I'm not going to do, it's a doing. And so the subtlety here doesn't escape the person. So even if somebody is sitting quietly, they may have ordered a few people to be offed, Yeah, like the mafia don sits quietly, but then just gives a sign, and then sits quietly. And then suddenly some people have gone missing. And, so akarmani, karma. So every sitting quietly doesn't have to mean that it is devoid of action. So this whole thing about action and non-action, they have mastered the theory behind it, the philosophy behind it, and because they have given up do-worship. Just like the tree that bears fruit does not say, I'm stressed out. Why? Because in this community where I stand as the tree, there are so many, what are there? There are so many people. And I have 10 fruits. I'm 10 fruits short. How will they all do? How will they survive? They will fight over those 10 fruits. And I can't stand it. I'm supposed to give fruits. And I'm only bearing, what? Very few fruits. And so it doesn't have any stress. Some years, off years, the tree doesn't bear fruit at all. Like fig tree and all, every alternate year it bears. It doesn't have any guilt. And on the years that it bears extra fruit, because there were good rains or what have you, it doesn't have some sense of, okay, I'm going to keep some for myself and I'm going to give somebody else the rest of it. No, I'm going to give to my people. No such thing. And then the wind, also the air. When the air moves, it doesn't have any kind of a volition of its own. Thank God. Otherwise it will just say, I think I feel like becoming a tornado, Only in Oklahoma it may say that. But even that is free of volition. The sun doesn't rise. Of course, the sun doesn't rise at all. But even if you see the movement of the earth, it doesn't move in volition, of its own volition. Bhishasmadvatah pavate, bhishodeti suryaha, bhishasmadagnischendrascha, mrityurdhavati panchama iti. Bhishad asmad vatah pavate. The wind blows out of, Bhisha here is not fear, out of great respect for whom? Ishvara. and because of great respect, in the command of whom the sun rises, and Indra and Agni, they do their work. And the fifth one, Mrityu, Lord Yama, who makes everyone jumps in response to whose injunctions? Ishvara. This is what this verse in the Taittiriya Upanishad illustrates. In the same way, the Jnani is not somehow a puppet of Ishvara. You should not think this verse like this. The Jnani is Ishvara. And Ishvara completely in tandem with Ishvara. If there is a separation between the Jnani and Ishvara, it's on the level of the body-mind complex, not on the level of the being, Satchidananda. And so, the spontaneity of action, is completely devoid of doership. And therefore, satatam, always. And then, therefore, there is nothing in particular to do. This is very important. Whereas the rest of the people who are either ajnanis or jnani wannabes, they have things to do, places to go, people to see. Already the camp is ending, people are thinking, should I stay back tomorrow, should I not? Well, it's kind of nice to stay back tomorrow, but then I have so much to do, then I have to work extra hard. Well, I don't know what to do, and let's see what all is left. Oh, first starting with laundry, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. That's why it's called laundry list. Laundry ityadi, meaning that list which starts with have to do laundry, all these things. On the last day of the camp, it comes, all the thoughts come, because already one is still in the ashram, but one has already left mentally. But here, this is just an invitation to stay back, yeah. At least for now, I'm not talking of tomorrow, stay back. And so, naiva kurvan, nothing to do, naiva kurvan asti, the kartritvam is not there. This I have to do, that I have to do, otherwise somebody will be upset, somebody will be hurt, somebody will be doing this. No such thing. Guilt, and hurt is associated with doership. There is no doership, there is no guilt and hurt. Or you can take it differently, there is no guilt and hurt. Therefore, also, there is no doership, free of doership. The Jnani remains in his glory, in the whole glory of that self, the Jnani remains, and there is nothing to do. So does that mean that the Jnani sitting by a lake sees a small child, straying towards the water and going inside the water, the Jnani will say, fine, I am not going to do anything. I have no doership. Ishvara will take care. The Jnani knows, in this case, I am Ishvara. Looks to the left, looks to the right, nobody is there. Pulls the child before it, goes completely into the water. But again, it is without volition. That is to be understood. And then, another name for the Jnani is Jivan Muktaha. Jivan means while alive, Muktaha, free of kartritvam. I am a doer, notion. Free of bhoktritvam, I am done in, is bhoktritvam. I am done in by other people's doing. I am a victim. That is, that is a recipe for sorrow, and I am an agent, is a recipe for guilt. Both these notions are fraught with, inviting samsara. They are fraught with samsara. And then jivan muktaha, jivan mukta sthitihi avagataha. Avagataha means the one who is abiding, the one who has understood. Again, I take you to notice, again I point out the upasarga, the prefix ava. Ava in the sense of deeply assimilated. The knowledge has descended to every pore. From head to foot, the person is nothing but this certain knowledge of Atma without any doubt, vagueness, etc., error. And so for such a person, what? Greeting such a person, what does one see? Dagdha vastrabha bhasaha, a beautiful example. Avabhasaha, experience. So the person experiences themselves as Dagdhavastravabhasaha and invites everyone else to experience as Dagdhavastravabhasaha. Avabhasaha, appearance. Dagdhavastram, burnt clothes, scorched clothes. So what is this scorched clothes, experience? I think it's hard to illustrate with clothes, but you would have seen, for example, a newspaper that has been burnt. A burnt newspaper. You can still read the headlines. So many people killed. What else is in the headlines? It's all just bad news anyway. So many people killed, some war breaking out somewhere or trying to break out somewhere. And you can read the headlines. You can see that there is print there. You can even read the fine print. You go to touch it. What is is it really a newspaper? Hello, show some signs of life. We can move on. Say no so we can move on. Is it a newspaper? No. What is it? Ashes. It's just ashes. It's not paper at all. Here you were reading the headlines because you're busy with the camp, you had not caught up for a few days. And so, so you start reading, oh, what did I miss? And then, whether you read the newspaper, so many people killed, or you read the comic section, some funny cartoon character is doing something, still you try to, turn the page because one page you have finished. What reaches your hand is vibhuti. Yes, that's all it is, ashes. And same thing, if a cloth is burnt, let's say an intricately woven cloth, a custom-made woven cloth is burnt, you can see the weave. And you can see that, oh, it's right there. What a nice shawl. Let me put it on. Vibhuti. Will be covered in ashes. And then another example we can give is rope. The rope, if it's burnt, it looks just like a rope. Don't say, what about the snake? Okay, this is an example. Only confined to the rope. Yeah. The mind has a funny way. And if there were a question, if there were a satsang, the question would have come. In the burnt rope, where does the snake go? Does it also get burnt? Satsang question. This is just an example of rope, not aropa. Okay? Yeah. So, a burnt rope, you can see the curves, you can see the tightly woven, pattern of the rope. And you say, okay, I'm going to tie the cow with this. And then you cannot tie anything with it. It's a useless rope. It's a useless cloth. It's burnt. So too the body-mind complex of the jnani. It is there for you to see. It is there for you, like the newspaper, to read, to come to conclusions, to wonder what's on the next page, to do all that. But you touch it, it is not there. And for the jnani themselves, they consider the body burnt in the fire of knowledge. 5th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, again, Jnana-agni sarva-karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. All actions are burnt in the fire of knowledge. In fact, so what is burnt is not the body, not the mind. They continue. But what is burnt is the body identification. Identification to this particular body is burnt. There are ashes instead of identification. Identification to a particular mind is burnt. Ashes instead of identification. Identification with the senses, burnt. Identification with doership, agency, burnt. Identification with the feeling I am a victim of other people's omissions and commissions, burnt. But it is still available for transaction. That's why Dagdhavastravabhasaha. Like the newspaper lying in the fire that you can still read. Like the rope you can still almost pick up. But then you can just, so it is available for transaction in a kind of a sublated, badhita way. And so, Dagdhavastravabhasaha, and then, evam dehe pravilaya gate. So in this body, which is, free of all identifications. Pravilaya means the identifications have gone to have resolved, gone to laya. No identification. And what kind of a laya? A laya from which it doesn't come back. Correct? So laya, simple laya means sleep. Sleep is also called laya. And then after sleep what happens? You come back. You come back the next day and you can grumble again, Yeah. And that's what shows you have come back the next day, because the grumbling continues. The complaints and the querulous nature continues. So you have come back. This is called laya. Here, it is not simple laya, from which the doership and the done-in-ship comes back. That is why there are two prefixes for the word laya. What are they? Tell me. Pra and vi. Pralaya, prakarshena laya. So this laya from which, people don't come back. And then, what else? Vi. So pralaya, they could have just said pralaya, but then we already have a word pralaya. And that pralaya is the disappearance, so to speak, of the jagat between cycles of creation. So we can confuse it with that. But here, therefore, the word, the prefix vi is added. It is a vishesha laya, a special kind of a laya where the body continues, the mind continues, but it is not available for interaction with volition in the same way that it was before. It's a spontaneous way. This is what it was, and I can clearly, illustrate something which, if we have known Pujya Swamiji, it was a common sight. And any time he came out and sit, there would be 10 pieces of paper, brochures, and so many things that people want him to look at, to sign, to address, thrust in his face, right, inches away, and 10 people standing around. Every day was like this. And then he would look, and then he would just pick one. And that is what was going to get the attention. And the other people would reluctantly it is separated from the body, as though disidentified from the body while living in the body. Nistraigунye pathi vicharatah ko vidhi ko nishedha. So such a strange creature, what are you going to ask it to do or not do? It's like telling the burnt rope, come, Sadrisham Purnatattva Prakasham Anandakhyam Samarasavane Bhyamantarvihine. Together. Nistraigунye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha. Kasmat means from where, this is the Sanskrit way of saying, where are you from? Kasmat tvam. Where did you come from? Kasmat. Kaha aham. Who am I? Apicha bhavan. And who are you? You know? And then, Apicha bhavan kaha. Who are you? Kim at that. Hey, fancy running into you here. You meet an acquaintance. Really, where are you from? You know? And they'll say, I'm from there, but my parents moved here, and now I'm settled, we are settled over here. Very unsettling, okay? And then, oh, is that so with you? Let me tell you my situation. And my situation has some things in similar. We also started off in the same place, but now we are, over here. See, very interesting. You were originally from the East Coast, but now we have settled in the West. We were originally from the West Coast, now we have settled in the East. And this is also ashram talk. People meeting in the ashram, Who are you? Let me tell you who am I. And, even swamis are not spared. Yeah, people come and ask, where are you from? And I say, wherever you are from. I am also from the same place. Yeah. What else to say? And sometimes they are persistent. No, really, where are you from? And in fact, one takes sannyasa to not answer these questions. Yeah. Not that that's the sole reason to take sannyasa. That should not be. Oh, I'm tired of people hounding me. Therefore, I'm just going to, get into some orange. No. It's this, it's actually a taboo for the sannyasi to even think about the life previously, unless there is some good reason to do that. So, what did you study? Where are you from? Where are you going? And all that. That's why it is called Purvashrama. It's a stage of life that was then before. Dagdhavastrava bhasaha. Dagdhavastra means just like the burnt rope, burnt newspaper, burnt cloth, etc. It's all gone. And the sannyasa itself is a rebirth. And if it is vividisha sannyasa, veditum ichha. So the desire to gain this fully, for when the sannyasa is taken for jnana nishtha, it is called vividisha sannyasa, to gain this knowledge, to further assimilate this knowledge. The sannyasi, takes on to this life of sannyasa. One takes on to this life of sannyasa, and then, it's like a new birth. Everything is dead. And even the clothes that are on one's back are put in the river. This is what the whole thing is. And so, it's a conscious disidentification with the past, with the body, with the mind, etc. And therefore, the sannyasi is very elusive about questions. Where are you from? What were you doing? Etc., etc. And the sannyasi wannabe, from the standpoint of knowledge, all of you also can answer. If anybody asks you, where are you from? Especially in the ashram. Outside the ashram, if you want to retain friends, don't do this. But in the ashram, you can say, you know what, let us just talk about something more present. I am from wherever you are from. Doesn't matter, all these things don't matter. You can just gently steer the conversation away. And so, this kasmat, where are you from? Koham, who am I? This is all, who am I, not in the sense of who am I, spiritual question. But let me tell you who I am, and let me tell you what all I have accomplished. I have done this, I have done that, I have done this, and And then the people say, I'm very modest, I don't want my name anywhere. These people came to me, one person, a couple, came to me in Washington DC. We had a big function there. And, I was asked to inaugurate something. And so I went to this hall. Wonderful arrangements had been done. And this couple came and said, we did all the arrangements. But then we told the organizer, don't even put our name in the brochure. And then the organizer happened to walk towards me. I said, oh, that's wonderful. Here is the organizer. And then I looked, both of them gone. They split from the place in a hurry, because they did not want me to say anything about them in front of the organizer, because, and then I told the organizer, there was just this couple, oh, everybody knows them, and they would have said that they are the most modest people on the planet, correct? And I said, yeah. And then the organizer said, Swamis are very gullible. They don't see all these things we see, and this is what it is like. I said, it's good we are gullible, we like it like that. And so, this is what it is. Koham, let me tell you who all I am. Let me tell you this big list of achievements. And then, who are you? Kaha cha bhavan. And then, what is this prapancha? What is this prapancha? Prapancha means jagat. This is a very beautiful nod and a kind of a, what is that? A sarcastic reference to the limitations of grammar. In the grammar we have 3 persons, correct? And in Sanskrit first we have what? Prathama Purusha. How terrible things are. Look at this world. What is this world coming to? Look at whom you are talking. Here is the Jagat, and to whom you are talking and complaining about the Jagat is the second person. You. I am talking to you, you, and if you are from the south, the plural is y'all. Tvam, yuvam, yuyam. Yuyam means y'all. And so, this is the second person is the person about whom you are complaining to the Jagat. And the one doing the complaining, supposedly, is the most exalted person. Uttama Purusha. Very, very nice. And then, the grammar has its limitations here, because that's, in a way, it's a nod to the grammar, but it has its limitations because that's all it is. That's all the cafe chit-chat is about you, or is it about me, or it is about the Jagat. You, me, Jagat. This is all the subject matter is. And then on a deeper level, if that grammar is understood properly from a standpoint of Vedanta, if the grammar is not looked at from the standpoint of just grammar, if you look at it from Vedanta, then you see this Uttama Purusha as something wonderful. What is this Uttama Purusha? Where do we get the word Uttama Purusha? Yeah, in the 15th chapter that one is chanting, and you may not have noticed it because you're hungry by that time. And yeah. Uttamah Purushastvanyah Paramatmetyudahritah Yo Lokatrayamavishya Vibhartyavyaya Ishwarah. I normally don't chant the 15th chapter at 10 o'clock, but because I don't want people to feel hungry, because it's like a Pavlov dog effect. Hear the 15th chapter and the stomach roars. But here to illustrate this, we have to do this. First he says, Dvau imau purushau loke. There are 2 purushas in this world. One is called Kshara and the other is called Akshara. And what is this Kshara? Kshara Purusha. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. All the elements and the elementals coming out of the elements is called Kshara, that which comes to an end, finite. Kutastham Akshara. Kutastho Kshara uchyate. Akshara, the one that does not come to an end, is called kutastha. The word kutastha has two meanings. Kutavat tishtati. Kutavat tishtati means the one that remains like an anvil. Kuta means anvil. Nobody even knows what an anvil is anymore. But if you go to an Indian, cobbler, you can see the anvil. It's a kind of a funny, very heavy iron instrument with various protrusions for the heel and the toe, so that the shoe can be put there and nails can be put, or you can put stitches on the shoe. So this is the anvil. So then this anvil is very nice example here. The anvil, is this whole thing we have to see in the form of the sitting still. So if the anvil also started to move with the shoe, then what would happen if the anvil moved with the shoe? Then the shoe will be, you have to say shoe to the shoe. Yeah, because there won't be any shoe. So the anvil has to stay put, and then the shoe is therefore able to be repaired. So kutastha means the one that sits still. What sits still here? Atma, which doesn't go anywhere. So that is one meaning of the word kuta, but it does not apply here. Important to know, but does not apply here. What is the other meaning of the word, kuta? Kute tishtati. And here kuta means kutilayam gatau. In a crooked way, not in a straightforward way. So Akshara Purusha is the one that is not straightforward, that goes round and round and tricks everyone. And what is this Akshara Purusha? Maya. Maya Shakti here, Akshara Purusha. She never comes to an end. She goes into a state of demanifestation, and then again in the next cycle of creation is manifest again. So Akshara. And then Uttamah Purushaha tu Anyaha, the most exalted Purusha. Yesterday we talked about the two Purushas, but now here there is the third one, because the Maya Shakti is talked about as well. Uttamah Purushaha tu Anyaha. So the one that is watching the Kshara Purusha, going in and out of existence, and the Akshara Purusha, going in and out of manifestation, demanifestation, the one who is untouched by the Jagat and by the Shakti of Maya, whether we are talking about Maya in the form of all knowledge or Maya in the form of ignorance that blesses every jiva, so to speak, regardless of that, what do we see? We see that it is all, it is all just being witnessed by who? Uttamah Purushaha tu Anyaha. And who is this Uttama Purusha? You, the first person in the grammar. And who is this Uttama Purusha in the Bhagavad Gita? Paramatma iti utakritaha, the one that is the Lord, that is one with the Lord. And that is what is talked about here. All this cafe chit-chat is a invitation here to, resolve all that chit-chat and focus on abiding in, understanding fully for oneself the nature of this Uttamah Purusha. And how to do that is given in the second line. Swam swam vedyam. Swam swam vedyam. Swam, by oneself. Swam, oneself. Vedyam, by oneself. Oneself is to be known. Because the Uttamah Purusha is who? Oneself alone. So you know yourself by yourself. By yourself doesn't mean that you don't need a teacher or the Shastra. By yourself means it is an endeavor that will involve extrication from the cafe chit-chat, cafe talk. Who are you? Where are you going? And the preoccupation. The cafe chit-chat is an upalakshana for all kinds of preoccupations of the people who are in the world. And what do those preoccupations look like? Always focused outwards. What is someone doing? Where is someone living? Why did they come here? They are not jignasus. What are they doing in the ashram? They are not even mumukshus. They don't even know M for mumukshu. And what are they doing in the ashram? Let them be doing whatever they are doing. If one is talking like this, one is quickly losing one's own mumukshutvam. This is what the whole thing is. And therefore, this very endeavor of Atmajnanam involves like a pulling back, illustrated in the Bhagavad Gita as kurmonganiva, like even a turtle withdrawing its limbs. The one who is interested in this life of knowledge, living as a jnani, needs to withdraw from all discussions and all sense objects, everything. That learning, the art of withdrawal has to be there. Even difficult situations. Withdraw from that. Remove yourself. You don't have to be standing there listening to this. Remove yourself gently. Make an excuse, just say, I need to be somewhere. It won't be a lie, you need to be with yourself. And that somewhere is you. So you can just tell that and push off from there. Because the truth is, swam vedyam. You yourself are to be known by yourself, meaning nobody else is going to encourage you to know yourself. It's an initiative that you have to put. One has to put this initiative. Nobody is going to encourage you for self-knowledge. In fact, it's the other way around. You start coming to the ashram, you start taking classes online also, and then once or twice people will be happy. They'll say, yeah, nowadays you're getting very angry. Better go to the ashram and do something, because then maybe you will be a good spouse, a better this, a better that. But then you start going a little more. Why? Don't you think there should be balance? Yeah, there should be balance, moderation. What are you doing over there? Why are you going all this? Why you have to go for 1 week? 1 day is enough. And don't they have online now, live streaming? Sit at home and listen there. Well, it's not the same. Well, why should it be the same? It's the same. This is what the whole thing is, because there is a threat. And so nobody is going to encourage you on this path. You have to make the initiative, just like the blessed ones here described have done. Swams, they have understood swameva vedyam. By whom? Swam alone. By oneself, one is to, one has to take this initiative. And what is this? What is this vedyam? What is to be known is gagana sadrisham. It's like akasha. Free, limitless as space. The word akasha has 2 derivations. One is what we know. Avakasha pradatra akasha. That which accommodates is space. This is the definition Adi Shankara gives in the Taittiriya Bhashya in the 2nd chapter. Avakasha pradata akasha. So, avakasha means accommodation, that which accommodates. And space never feels full. You keep putting things, it will take on. It will make room. It will make room. So to the jnani, makes room for everything. Everything is sarvan purayati, fills up everything. There is nothing separate from herself, himself. One meaning. Another derivation of akasha is asamantat kashate iti akasha. That which is ever shining, which refers to the self-evident Atma that is ever shining, ever present, ever full, ever complete. This is the Atma, this is the I. And then, so avakasha pradatra akasha asamantat kashate, kash to shine. In fact, that kash is hidden in the word prakasha. That kash is the one, means shines. So gagana sadrisham, this knowledge that is ever shining, and limitless knowledge, the one who is frolicking in that knowledge. And then what is this knowledge? Purna tattva, what is it called? Purna tattva prakasham. Purna tattva prakasham. Tattva is Brahman, thatness, We already saw that. And then, so this Ishvara, knowledge of Ishvara, which is Purna and which is in the form of I, that Prakasham is a nod to the self. Just as I can see I am, that truth of I, devoid of body, mind, identification, that is turned inward naturally and that is abiding in its own glory because it cannot be and it refuses to be filled up with so many different, what is that called? Distractions. It refuses to be filled up. And so therefore it is Purna. In fact, our food is also Vedantic. When you make modak for Lord Ganesha, what do? You have some, some dough, whether it is wheat or gluten-free version, rice. So the rice flour is double cooked, it's very bland. And then you roll it out and inside you put this coconut calorie ball, coconut and jaggery ball. So sweet and it's round, it's full. And you put this in this bland, whatever it is, dough. And then you seal it off. And either you steam it if it is the gluten-free version or you fry it if it is made of, flour. And then what? So this is what is called modaka, that which makes you happy. Yeah, this is what is offered to Ganesha, so you can eat it. And it is not allowed to tear off the rice flour and just go for what is inside. You eat it along with that. What is that ball, that calorie ball called? Purna. That calorie ball is called Purna. And the bland dough which encases it is this bland, not uninteresting body, mind, sense complex which as though houses this Atma. The steaming is prarabdha. Yeah. So you go through the fires of some experiences, or the hot oil of samsara, then you come out. The slotted spoon is the guru that lifts you out. Yeah. And, up till then the example. Okay, yeah, that's all. So like this is, it's round, it's Purna, it's Modaka, it is pleasing. And it is to be enjoyed with the body, mind, sense complex. It is not away from that. And very, very beautiful, very nice thing. And so, Purna Tattva Prakasha. So this Atma, which in the Taittiriya Upanishad is described Raso Vaisaha, the one that is the most juicy, the essence of everything. Rasagga hyevayam labdhva anandi bhavati. The person is delighted knowing this, seeing this as the truth of oneself. The person, there is a lot of, great deal of delight. And then, anandi bhavati. And then, what else here? Yeah, speaking of Anandi Bhavati, third line, Anandakhyam samarasavane bhahyamantar vihine. So, this person with this knowledge is called Ananda. Not only is the Purna called Ananda, the one abiding in Purnatvam, Purnata, is also Ananda. And then, usually the Ananda that one experiences is what? Lesha Leshataha. It is described very beautifully in the Manisha Panchakam. Residues. Lesha means little bit. One is always begging like a doggy on the tables for the table scraps of Ananda. Send me some this way. And when you talk about Ananda itself, it has gradations. So many gradations. So much so that the Taittiriya Upanishad reserves a whole section to analyze this Ananda called Ananda Mimamsa. First it establishes one unit of human happiness. Yuva syat sadhu yuvadhyayakah ashishto dradishto balishtaha tasyaivam prithivi vittasya purna syat saya eko manusha anandah. One unit of human happiness. young. Young man. Young means should be young and restless. No, sadhu yuva. Very calm, quiet fellow. Quiet young man. Must be something wrong, Must be, something wrong. How can the young man be quiet? Maybe did not study well. Adhyayakaha, well studied. Oh, must not be well behaved. Well behaved, ashishtaha, dradishtaha. Must be a nerd. You say foo, and then the person falls off. Balishtaha, very strong. And then now this fellow is looking like son-in-law material for the daughter of the parents. Yeah. And the mama, the husband, is convinced. Oh, I think we should fix up this alliance. Mommy, however, the auntie is very practical. She says, show me the money, He may be good, but what is he going to eat? Tasya iyam prithivi. In fact, the whole earth, all the resources, natural resources, every resource in the whole earth belongs to him only. Now the auntie is convinced. She says to the uncle, don't look at the horoscope, fix up the match. Who cares about the horoscope? We are modern anyway. This is one unit of human happiness. Gaining which are you happy? No, because then you say that, oh, the yakshas, kinnaras and gandharvas, these low-rung celestials, they are having more happiness than me. Te ye shatam manusha anandaha saye eko gandharva nandaha. Then it is one unit of celestial happiness. You multiply this by 100. This is Vedic mathematics. Yeah. You multiply this one unit by 100, then you get the Ananda enjoyed by the celestials, one measure of Ananda. Then you multiply that by 100, then you get one measure of Karma Deva Ananda. Karma Devas is, the people who, celestial sevaks who bring chaiwalas to Indra, Prajapati, etc., who bring tea. Even they enjoy, 200,000 times more happiness than you do if you had the ideal human happiness. Then you multiply that by 100, it's endless, all the way to Prajapati, Brihaspati, etc., Brahmaji. But then there is one person through all this is the refrain, who is enjoying all these levels of Ananda effortlessly. Who is that? Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya, Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya. The one who has studied this knowledge, Shrotriya. Akamahataha, the one who is therefore not hijacked by desire. Don't say akamena hataha, that's not how to resolve the compound. The one who is killed by non-desire. No. The one who is, free of desires. Akamahataha, kamena nahataha. No, the one not hijacked by desire. Sitting under a tree, doesn't have anything to call their own, enjoys all the levels of these happinesses effortlessly. No more competition, no more this, because they are Ananda personified. No more is the Ananda divided for them as this person's Ananda, that person's Ananda, this group's Ananda. No. And neither is the Ananda divided in terms of subject Ananda, object Ananda. Nothing. And the subject and the object have to come together for this Ananda to take place. No. Free, because they know the subject is me, object non-separate from me. And so therefore, one who knows this knowledge enjoys, full Ananda without it being a finite experience. And what is that? Why? Because Vicharatam, they are going Samarasa Vane. So they are moving in the forest of oneness. In the forest of Ananda, they are frolicking in the forest of Ananda, in the forest of oneness. These people who are also called Ananda are frolicking, without a care in the world. And they are not brought down by anything, because they know everything is Bhagavan. and I am non-separate from that, Bhagavan, they know. And then I also want to enter this forest. If you say, is there a doorway for this forest? Is there a gate? There must be high fences and a gate. No fences, no defenses, no offenses, nothing. So there is no entry way? No. But what if I get sick of Ananda? Can I leave? There is a door marked exit? No. Bhahyamantar vihine. No entry, no exit, because it is limitless. You don't have to enter because you are already there. You have to know. And you can't exit and you don't want to exit because it is you. Bhahyamantar vihine. And then what? Nistraigunye pathivicharatam. So for such people, what are you going to tell them to do? And what are you going to tell them to not do? No problem at all. So this is, this is the ЩUKÀŠTAKAM. Each time we finish a text, we always read the first one, first mantra, first stanza again, to show that the knowledge is never ending. And also as a expression of a prayer, may the knowledge never come to an end for me. May I always abide in this knowledge. Together. Bheda bhedau sapadi galitau punyapape vishirne maya mohau kshayam upagatau nashta sandeha vrittehe shabdatitam trigunarahitam prapya tattvavabodham nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha. You want to chant the whole thing? Yes? No? Together. Yastvatmanam sakalavapusham ekamantarbahishtham drishtva purnam swamiva satatam sarvabhandasthamekam nanyat karyam kimapi cha tatah karanat bhinna rupam nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha hemnah karyam hutavah gatam hemameveti advat kshire kshiram rasamiva rase toyamevambu madhye evam sarvam samarasataya tvam padam tatpadarthe nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha yasmin vishvam sakala bhuvanam samarasyaika bhutam urvityapo nalamanilakham jivamevam kramena yat ksharabdhau samarasataya saindhavaikatva bhutam nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha yadvannadyo dadhi samarasau sagaratvam hyavaptau tadvajjivalaya parigatau samarasyaika bhutaha bhedatitam parilayagatam satchidanandarupam nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha drishtva vedyam paramathapadam svatmabodhasvarupam buddhyatmanam sakalavapusham ekamantarbahishtham bhutva nityam saduditataya svaprakashasvarupam nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha karyakarye kimapi satatam naiva kartritvam-asti jivan mukta sthitiravagatāh dagdhavastravabhāsah evam dehe pravilayagate mano viyuktah nistraigunye pathi vicharatam ko vidhih ko nishedha कस्मात् कोऽहं किमपि च भवान् कोऽप्यमत्र प्रपञ्चः स्वं स्वं वेद्यं गगनसदृशं पूर्णतत्त्वप्रकाशम् आनन्दाख्यं समरसवने बाह्यमन्तर्विहीने निस्त्रैगुण्ये पथि विचरतां को विधिः को निषेधः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः।